What's up, you guys? It's Chris here. I hope you guys like my outfit. So today I'm going to show you how to swap out the carburetor on a Stihl FS55R weed whip. So I got this weed whip for free. I did already take the carburetor apart and cleaned it, and I still can't get it running quite right. I think the diaphragm is stretched out and the fuel pump might not be working quite right. So carburetors for it were like $15 on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description for that. So I ordered one yesterday, showed up today. I'm going to run through how to swap it out. It's fairly straightforward, so stay tuned. Here we go. So I'm going to start by popping off this airbox cover. Just push in on this plastic part, and the airbox cover swings out of the way, and then you can pop it off the hinges back here. Pull off this air filter. And then to get the carburetor and the rest of the airbox off, it's just these two bolts right here. They're 5/16. Now the socket's kind of tight. It doesn't really fit down in the plastic socket, plastic circles in this airbox. So what I did is just kind of get it lined up, tap on it as I'm twisting it, and eventually that plastic will bend out of the way a little bit and you'll get the socket down onto the nut. Pop the rest of the airbox off. Right here are your two fuel lines. Right here are your two fuel lines. You can just push those off. Now on this side of the carburetor we have the throttle cable. All you're going to do is rock this throttle lever up, kind of hold it down out of the way, and push that cable right out of there just like that, and then the throttle's disconnected. And then the carb just slides right off. Watch out for this gasket on the back side of the carb here. Pop that off. Pop open the new carburetor. Now I will say Stihl uses different carburetors for the same model weed whip. So I would suggest starting to take apart your weed whip and see what your carburetor looks like, and see, and then match up what your new carburetor to what carburetor is on your machine. This kit came with a few other things: spark plug, fuel intake line, primer bulb, fuel filter, a couple different air filters, and a new gasket for it. This kit was like $13. I couldn't believe how cheap they are. So to install the new carburetor, I will first make sure there's no debris on this surface right here. It looks pretty clean still. Slide the new gasket down on. Slide the new carburetor down on. Hook up the fuel lines. And then hook up the throttle cable. There we go. And then we will slap the airbox back on. Remember, there's a gasket on the back side of this too. We'll get our two nuts started. And because it came with it, I'll slap the new air filter on. Pop the cover back on. Bada boom. There you go. That took like a couple minutes. Piece of cake. Alright, let's go see if it'll run. Might have to pump the primer bulb a few times to get gas in the system. Well, there you go. Not quite perfect. I think I got to dial in the high-speed screw a little bit, but runs better than it did before. At least I'll be able to use it. So to adjust to get the carburetor adjusted, there's a high and a low-speed screw, and then a idle screw. So I just start it, let it idle, and adjust the low-speed screw until the engine's idling as high as possible, and then adjust the idle screw until it's idling at a proper RPM, and then hold the weed whip wide open and slowly adjust the high-speed screw until you get to a spot to where it's revving as all the way up. And then once you get all those set, the carburetor is pretty much as dialed in as it's going to get. So it took me a little bit after the fact, after I got the carburetor replaced and I couldn't get it tuned quite right, before I thought of what was actually wrong with it and preventing this weed whip from revving all the way up. Right in here is your spark arrestor. This is where your exhaust comes out. So all I'm going to do is use a 5/8 socket to pop that spark arrestor off. So there you go. It just goes in there just like that. So, but this right here is after I cleaned it. But when I first pulled it out, this thing was completely packed full of soot and carbon buildup. And that was preventing this weed whip from air being able to move out of the engine. And that's what was preventing it from revving up. So after I cleaned this out, I had the carburetor tuned at its factory adjustments, and then it ran great and it was able to rev all the way up. So this one took me a minute to think about and figure out. But once I got this cleaned out, it's good to go, and the weed whip is running great now. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video helps you kind of run through and get your weed whip started. These little engines are actually pretty simple, and there's not a lot to them. And the good thing is parts are really cheap, and you can get them on Amazon and get them delivered, in a day. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope this helps, and we'll see you next time.